What if the Milky Way is not silent because nobody ever lived here, but because they all died before we arrived? Not one civilization, not a few. Entire ages of intelligence, rising around distant stars, building technology, staring into the same darkness we stare into now, and then disappearing so completely that by the time humanity learned to ask if we were alone, the answer was already buried under billions of years of cosmic history. Because one disturbing interpretation of the Drake equation suggests something far darker than an empty universe. The galaxy may have already had its age of intelligent life. We may have missed it. And if that is true, then the most terrifying possibility is not that aliens never existed. It is that intelligence may appear again and again, and almost never survive. For most people, the alien question still feels hopeful. Are we alone? It sounds like a doorway into wonder. Another world. Another sky. Another civilization waiting somewhere in the dark. But there is a much darker version of that same question, and once it gets into your head, it changes the meaning of the silence forever. What if we are not alone in the history of this galaxy? What if we are only alone now? Because a galaxy can look empty for two very different reasons. 1. Intelligent life almost never formed. 2. It formed many times, and most of it vanished long before anyone else was around to find it. That is what makes the Drake equation so disturbing. When Frank Drake proposed it in 1961, it was not a machine that could magically count alien civilizations. It was a framework for breaking a terrifying mystery into smaller parts. How many stars are born? How many have planets? How many planets could support life? How often life begins? How often intelligence appears? And then the cruelest variable of all. How long an intelligent civilization survives after becoming powerful enough to change its world? Because that last part changes everything. The Milky Way could create life again and again, but if advanced civilizations tend to destroy themselves quickly, the galaxy would still look silent. Not because nobody was ever there. Because almost nobody lasted. When Drake first wrote that equation, humanity barely had real data. We had not confirmed exoplanets. We did not know whether worlds like ours were common or rare. Almost every number inside the equation was drowning in uncertainty. But now that part has changed. We have discovered thousands of exoplanets. We know planets are everywhere. We know rocky worlds exist. We know some orbit in regions where liquid water could be possible. So modern researchers have gone back to Drake's logic and started asking a darker question. Not just where intelligent life could appear, but when in the history of the Milky Way it had the best chance to emerge. And this is where the story stops being hopeful and becomes chilling. Some interpretations suggest the most favorable era for intelligent life in our galaxy may have happened billions of years before humanity appeared on Earth. Not slightly earlier. Billions of years. In other words, the Milky Way may not be waiting for civilizations to rise. It may already be living after the peak. That is the central reveal. Humanity may be late. Late to the galaxy. Late to intelligence. Late to whatever once happened out there. The terrifying possibility is that we did not arrive early enough to meet anyone alive. If worlds with the right conditions had a head start of billions of years, then entire alien histories could have unfolded before the first human ancestor ever looked up at the night sky. Civilizations may have risen, expanded, fought wars, built machines, mapped their worlds, reached their own age of discovery, and collapsed while Earth was still covered by primitive life. Their signals would be gone. Their structures reduced to dust. Their atmospheres changed. Their planets still orbiting in silence around ordinary stars, with no obvious sign that minds once lived there at all. And it gets worse. Some modern models do not just ask where life can begin. They ask what can erase it. Supernova explosions. Violent galactic environments. Planetary instability. But above all hangs the darkest factor of all, self-destruction. A species becomes intelligent, then technological, then powerful enough to poison its biosphere, destabilize its climate, build civilization-ending weapons, automate its risks, and outrun its own wisdom. If this story is hitting you, press like now, Because this is the moment the alien mystery turns into something much more dangerous. Maybe the pattern hidden in the galaxy is not that life is rare. Maybe the real rarity is survival. Humanity already understands this better than it wants to admit. We are a species powerful enough to reshape the planet, but not yet wise enough to feel safe doing it. We have technologies that move faster than our maturity. Weapons that can erase millions. Systems so fragile and interconnected that one failure can spread across everything. We like to imagine advanced civilizations as calm, enlightened, almost godlike. But our own world suggests something much more frightening. Intelligence does not guarantee stability. It may simply accelerate the test. So when researchers suggest the Milky Way could contain thousands of dead civilizations, they are not proving alien ruins are scattered everywhere across the stars. They are pointing toward a possibility that is much harder to ignore. If intelligent life often rises earlier than we did, and if technological civilizations often fail before surviving on cosmic timescales, then the silence around us may not be emptiness. It may be aftermath, a graveyard hidden by time. And that is why this idea lingers, because it turns the search for aliens into a mirror. The question is no longer just where is everybody. The question becomes what happens to intelligence after it becomes powerful enough to destroy itself. Maybe some civilizations survive that threshold. Maybe many do not. Maybe the Milky Way has already run this experiment countless times, and most of the results are dead worlds drifting around living stars. None of this is proof. The Drake equation is still a model, not a direct detection. It depends on assumptions, unknown variables, and factors we may not yet understand. But even as a model, it points at something deeply uncomfortable. The universe may not be telling us that intelligent life is impossible. It may be telling us that intelligence is fragile. So maybe the scariest answer to the alien question is not that nobody ever existed. Maybe it is that many did. They rose under other suns. They looked into the same darkness. They believed they were stepping into their future. And they never made it through. If the Milky Way really is a graveyard of dead civilizations, then humanity is not just searching for company. Humanity is standing in the same test now, hoping not to become another silent world in the dark.